Hey guys, it's Pastor Rachel. I'm doing today's Daily Soap, and we are looking at Acts 13 and 14. And can I just say, these chapters are literally insane. Here's the very brief overview. Paul and Barnabas are sent out to do ministry. They are at a synagogue, and the synagogue guys are like, hey, does anyone else want to share? Obviously, Paul jumps up because he wants to share and starts talking about the things that God has shared with him, and these people are like, wow, this is incredible, we should have him share every week. And synagogue leaders get jealous and want to stone Paul and Barnabas, so Paul and Barnabas leave to city number 2, and basically the same thing happens in city number 2. Paul and Barnabas share the things that God has had them share. Synagogue leaders got mad, the church gets divided over this whole thing. Paul and Barnabas leave, they make it to city number 3, where there is a man who is crippled, and God speaks to Paul about healing him. This man gets healed, and then the people in the city are like, this must be Zeus and Hermes, so they try to have this big celebration, sacrifice a bunch of stuff, and Paul and Barnabas are like, whoa, we are not Zeus and Hermes, please don't do that, this is not what we're about, and try to explain who they are and the message that God had for them to share. And all the while they're having this interaction, the guys from City 1 and 2 are on their way to where Paul and Barnabas are because they just really want to stone them. And even just brief thoughts on stoning, like, how does stoning work? Do they throw them in a pit? Do they tie them down? Do they just surround them in a circle and play like extreme dodgeball with rocks until they die? I don't understand. But anyways, the guys catch up to them. Paul gets stoned. They literally think that he's dead. Then they leave, and Paul's like, just kidding, I'm not dead, and just very casually mentions that entering the kingdom of God is not going to be without hardship, that there are going to be trials and tribulations. And what jumps out at me in these situations is that the trials and the tribulations aren't from unbelievers. It was other Christians causing pain and conflict and hindering the mission of God through Paul and Barnabas. And I see some overlap in that, in the sense that Christians have been so tense with each other during this season, but I think the bigger picture in this story is that Paul's life was so difficult and challenging and hard, and literally life-threatening at times because of the things that God had called him to do. And oftentimes I think to myself, am I doing Christianity right? Why is my life as easy as it is? And is it just because God has a different plan for my story, or because my culture has made it incredibly hard to sincerely follow God? And I guess that's my challenge for us today, is to take a minute and just sincerely ask God if my life looks like what He intended my life to look like. Am I more concerned with being comfortable and feel entitled to the things that I have and the things that I want than I am His mission, which is really scary sometimes, thinking, what if we're doing this wrong? So I just want to invite you guys to have a vulnerable moment with God, and reflect on, I guess, just what His plan for your life is, and how much your life looks like His plan for your life instead of your plan for your life. And then I guess as a side note, are we making it difficult for other Christians to do what God is calling them to do? It's a lot easier to feel entitled to the things that we want and the things that we've always had than it is to understand that the Christian faith is almost essentially completely revolves around us giving up and sacrificing, not us demanding and taking. So yeah, those are the two things I think we can think about, is what does my life look like? Does it look like what God's intended it to look like? And am I giving up and sacrificing, or am I demanding and taking? And just invite God to speak to you on those things see what he has to say and what maybe changes he has for you to make. And that's all I have for you guys. See ya Sunday.